Question: what do you do when your dog won't eat? How do you get a dog to eat when they're not hungry? Well, first of all, before anything else, please, if your dog is not eating, especially on a consistent basis, you must take them to the vet. You need to get blood tests done because it could be something with their kidneys, it could be a slew of maladies. But the reality is, if they're not eating consistently, there's probably something going on internally. And I can give you lots of tips and tricks as we're gonna do in this video, but this video is not for dogs who have chronic kidney disease, problems with their liver, or any other pathology that is leading to them not eating. There are ways to take care of that, and we'll deal with that in another video. So this is for dogs who are just simply a little bit spoiled, or they're not eating for some reason. We're gonna give you 7 tricks, 7 ways to get your dog to eat when they're not eating, if they've already been to the doctor, had the blood test, and they're cleared. Ready? I can tell you right now that number 6 and 7 are almost never talked about, and they may be 2 of the most important. Number 1 may be old hat to some of you, especially those of you who watch this channel a lot, but that is cut the kibble. Take the kibble, throw it out the window. Most of the time when a dog is consistently not eating, it's because they just don't like the food. And with the state of most dog food on the market today, I don't blame them. A lot of it is garbage. It is full of really sometimes dangerous ingredients that don't taste good. Go ahead, start home cooking if you can. You will find that it's actually cheaper than most good dog foods on the market, some of the higher end brands. And if you can't, then you want to top your dog's food off with things like tuna oil, kefir, homemade bone broth, tuna when you get it, some vegetables, so that it will increase their appetite because they're actually getting real food again. However, if at all possible, go with home cooking, right? Number 2 is a huge problem, and it's not really talked about all that often, and that is stop over snacking. So I'm all for positive reinforcement. Obviously, I'm giving a lot of treats. If you watch these videos, she eats a ton. These are little vegetable scraps. They're not going to affect their appetite. But a lot of times people are giving their dogs so many treats during the day. And even with seniors, even if they're not being trained like a puppy, they're getting too many snacks. Remember that all that food that goes into their system adds up to maybe a meal, a half a meal, and it may curb their hunger. Even hungry dogs who were super food motivated when they were young, as they get older, their appetite may decrease a bit. So don't over snack, because you want to make sure that they're getting their main meals with all their vitamins and all their supplements, all the proteins and all the fats they need. So if you're snacking too much, if you're giving them too many treats, stop. And another thing, for those of you who give raw bones, and I do as well, nothing wrong with them, but keep in mind that if you're doing that often, and you're doing that maybe daily or even several times a week, a big bone like this one you're seeing on screen, that's basically a mini meal for a dog. Bones are not just a chew toy. They are filled with protein, fat, bone marrow. Calorically, it's like a meal. And remember, that is going to break down in your dog's stomach, and it is going to fill them up. So if you're giving them too many snacks, stop it. Number 3. This is a short-term solution, and this actually works with dogs who do have pathologies, but we're gonna borrow it for this, and that is to eat with your dog. So try to feed them at your mealtime. If they eat at breakfast and dinner, or however they eat, feed them along with you. And that basically what happens is sometimes your food is more appetizing, and just the smell can trigger the hormones and the chemicals in their brain that they need to increase hunger. Again, this is not a long-term solution. If your dog has been sick, if they're very picky, hand feeding and feeding them with you can help, but not forever. Next up, and often underutilized and rarely talked about, mental stimulation. Older dogs can get very bored, and boredom actually will cause a decrease in appetite. So sometimes when your dog is not hungry, it's simply because they've been laying around bored all day. And for those dogs who have to stay at home all day alone, or even if you are home with your dog all day, if they're just laying around doing nothing and they don't have any mental stimulation, they will have trouble eating as much as they should. So get out with them, play games, find a toy that they like. As you can see here, we have senior dogs who play with tennis balls. They go for walks, they run, they're out there sniffing around, whatever it takes, whatever brain games you need to give them in order to stimulate them mentally. It could be as much as a ride in the car. If you live in an apartment building, going down to the elevator, taking the elevator down and coming back. It's mental stimulation, and this absolutely will spike their hunger. This is a long-term solution, and that is to improve your dog's gut health. Gut health is paramount to how long they live, how well they live, and their hunger, because if your dog's gut health is below where it should be, it's below optimal, they may have problems with digestion, they They may have problems with constipation. And these will both lead to, well, obviously no one likes to eat when they're constipated, right? And if you're not digesting well and you constantly got this low-grade stomach ache, your stomach's just kind of blah, you're not gonna wanna eat, and neither does your dog. Fix this with things like kefir, Greek yogurt, vegetables like these, prebiotic vegetables, even things like bone broth can help heal gut health. This is a long-term solution, as we said. It's not gonna make them get hungry today, but over the course of weeks and months, it will absolutely have a huge impact. And that leads us into maybe the most important, right? And that is exercise. There is an epidemic among senior dogs. They do not exercise enough. They are left to just lay around all day in a lot of cases. They're old, they don't want to move. Sometimes they don't want to move because they haven't been moving. Trust me, older dogs, I have had dogs as old as 18 and a half. They like to walk every day, even if they are not capable of going for far distances, to the end of the driveway, to the mailbox, like I said, to the elevator, down to your car and back, whatever it is. This physical activity actually stimulates a hunger hormone that will get their hunger increased and get them eating again. Physical activity and exercise, walking, running, playing, are not only important for getting them to eat as much as they should, it's also super important for their longevity. So please get your dog moving as much as possible. And if they're a little slow off the couch, they haven't exercised in a while, they're having some issues, start slow. Make sure you're taking care of the inflammation in their joints through food, of course, or medication if it need be. Things like turmeric can help. Get them walking, even if it's a 10-second walk today and 12 tomorrow and 30 by the end of the week, and then a minute and 5 minutes and 10. I have adopted senior dogs who were absolutely in terrible shape, and guess what? Little by little, they will build up their strength, their joint health, and they will start walking again, and you'll see them eat really well. This can be an absolute game changer. All senior dogs should exercise, right? And what about the last point? This is a little bit sneaky because, again, we're borrowing from dogs who have kidney disease, borrowing from dogs who have legitimate health issues that are preventing them from eating as much, and that is, if your dog is coming off of surgery, or they've been sick, or for whatever reason they're not showing much appetite, here's a little trick you can use, and it is borrowed from parents of, like human babies. I prefer dog babies. That is to give your dog human baby food. Sounds crazy, I know. Whatever they put in baby food stimulates their nose and stimulates their brain, and they will be hungry. I have used this method, and it's a short-term method. It is not for long-term, but if you're trying to get your dog to eat and get them back into becoming good eaters so that they can continue to hold on to their muscle and their vitality, try baby food for a short time. Get a meat-based, minimal ingredient, baby food meant for humans. Start off with that, start to mix their regular food back in slowly, or take their regular food and start to blend it up with a little bit of broth so that you're basically making a baby food at home for your fur baby, which should everyone do now. Check out this playlist full of great, healthy, homemade dog food recipes. Absolutely, good idea. You always have good ideas. That's all for now, and we will see you next time.